The graph of a function is the collection of ordered pairs in the plane. So let's say you had a parabola, f of x. This line represents an infinite number of points along that curve, right? It's a collection of ordered pairs that create this line. Now the value of f of x, the entire thing, is equal to the y value of the function at this exact value of x. So we have f of x is equal to x squared, and the y value of the function is equal to the value of the expression when a specific x value is plugged in. So why are we reviewing this? If we want to evaluate a graph for a particular x value, you go to that point of the axis. So for f of -2, you go to -2 along the x-axis. And the y value is going to be equivalent to wherever the curve is. So if you're given the expression, you can plug the number in. But if you have just the graph, you would go to -2, and you would go up to the curve, and that would tell you the y value for that specific x. If it were -1, if you have the expression, you know f of -1 is -1 squared. But if you had just the graph, you'd go to -1 along the x, and then go up to the curve, and then you take a look at what that y value is at that point of the curve. And we see here it's +1. If you had 3, you would go to 3 along the x, and you go up to the curve, find the point on the curve, and then take a look at the y-axis, and that would tell you the y for that particular x. So let's walk through an example. Let's say you were asked to evaluate f of x, and they asked you what is f of -1. So what you want to do, step 1, go to the number inside of the parentheses, which is -1, along the x-axis. So that would be here. And then step 2, go up to the function. So we wind up at this point along the curve. And now the third step, we want to go to the y-axis from here. And when we do so, we see that it has a y value of +5 when x is -1. So f of -1 is equal to +5. That is how you go about evaluating a function on a graph. Let's have you try a few practice questions. Let's say you're given this graph of g of x, and you were asked to evaluate. Question number 1, what is g of -7? Question number 2, what is g of 0? And question number 3, what is g of 6? Pause the video, answer these questions, and then press play when you are ready to begin. Question number 1, step 1, go to the number inside of the parentheses along the x-axis. So question 1, we were asked to find g of -7. So we go to -7 along the x-axis. And then step 2, we go up to the function. So we wind up at this point here. And now the third step, we want to go to the y-axis from here. And when we do so, we see that the function has a value of +7 when x is -7. So the answer to question number 1 is g of -7 is equal to 7. Question number 2, we're asked to find the value of g of 0. So step 1, go to the number inside of the parentheses, 0 along the x-axis. We actually don't have to go anywhere. It's the origin, is where x is 0. And here we see the function also has a value of 0, so you don't have to go up or down. This is the value we're looking for. And y has a value of 0 here. So we see g of 0 is equal to 0. So that is the answer to question number 2. Let's now have a look at question number 3. We're asked to find g of 6. So step 1, go to the number inside of the parentheses, 6 along the x-axis. So we go to 6. And then step 2, we want to go down to the function from here. And then step 3, we want to go to the y-axis from here, showing us that when x is 6, y is equal to negative 6 for the function g. So g of 6 is equal to negative 6.